Hello everybody, it's Mark here from The Guitar Marketplace, and today we bring you an in-depth look at the brand new model from Gibson, which is this Gibson Les Paul Standard Greeny model, which is a signature sort of take on what is probably the most famous 1959 Les Paul in history. So the famous Greeny Les Paul is a 1959 Gibson Les Paul Standard, a famous burst at this point. It was originally owned by Peter Green of Fleetwood Mac. At another point in its life, it was then taken over by Gary Moore, who took it to another level and really was known for that sound of this incredible Les Paul, and was played on some of the most famous tracks in Thin Lizzy's history, Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac's history, and really was just an absolute sort of bewildering, sort of mythical instrument at this point. Until a fair couple of years ago, when Kirk Hammett took it on. I think he paid around $2.2 million or something very steep, something very unaffordable, and kind of brought it back into the limelight, started gigging with it with Metallica, and really kind of brought his guitar back to the forefront. It was already a famous instrument anyway, but it really has taken on a whole new life of its own over the last few years. Gibson have brought out many models trying to replicate this instrument. They did a £50,000 version, which included like a meet and greet with Kirk, and you got to go around like the Nashville Gibson garage. They've released a £20,000 version, which featured these Greeny Bookers, and very much was matching the sort of relic and all the sort of good parts of that guitar. And they're kind of scaling it back and bringing more affordable versions in. This is the next version, and we speculate or think there's going to be an Epiphone version as well in the coming future. But this is the Gibson Les Paul Standard version. From the offset, spec-wise, I can tell you that it's got mahogany body and neck, it's got a rosewood fingerboard, and it's got a AAA flame maple cap on the top. It has these Greeny Bookers, which are now patented to Gibson. Obviously, you've got the neck pickup, which is in a reverse position, which gives you a beautiful out-of-phase sound on the middle selector. And it comes with a different sort of, it's almost a thicker sort of Grover on the tuning peg. The main thing we noticed when we took it out of the box, we were very excited to have it here at the Guitar Marketplace. I think the initial feedback was a little underwhelming. We'll go through my full opinion towards the end of the video anyway, but I personally wasn't expecting it to be faded in a sort of a satin finish. I was expecting more of a full fat Gibson feel. And I was kind of expecting maybe like a little owner's booklet or something to kind of talk about the history of the guitar and to kind of maybe make it feel like more of a special purchase than what we received, which was just a guitar in a Gibson case and the standard paperwork you'd get with pretty much any Les Paul, which I felt was a little underwhelming. As a price point, they're around about £3,000, which again, for the majority of people, still isn't affordable. But it is, I suppose, the going rate for a good Gibson Les Paul currently. But yeah, the fact that you kind of come in a satin finish, obviously, Gibson have done a Les Paul faded recently, which is basically this. Apart from the fact with this one, you've got the 50s style neck profile, which doesn't feel too much like a 50s, to be honest. It doesn't feel that thick. But when I plugged it in, I did find that whatever these pickups are doing, whatever they are as a Greeny Booker, whatever they are different to the Burst Bookers, makes this guitar sound incredible. It is quite a resonant guitar, I think, because of the lack of finish. But having got to play this guitar a bit now, I'm starting to kind of get to terms with it, come to grips with it. We're not sure on the amount of numbers that are actually going to be produced with this guitar. Currently, it is sold out in the UK. So that's why we are very excited to have one. But it kind of puts us in a situation where I think if there was a booklet and it was kind of more of an onus on it being collectible, could have really done a lot for the value of the guitar. However, I don't know, I think currently as it stands, I think a lot of people's general feedback that we've seen on our posts and the general guitar market is they're a little underwhelmed with the finish. I don't think people think it's that close to the actual original Greeny. Obviously, you're not going to get a relic at this price point, really. But then obviously because of the way the finish is, does kind of take you back to basics a little bit, but at the same time, like, you could get a Les Paul faded that has this feel for probably about £900 less currently on the market. So I was a little disappointed to some degree. However, the sound of this guitar really is phenomenal. Okay, so now we are back and you've heard how the guitar sounds. I'm sure you will agree with me that the guitar itself, when plugged in, does sound fantastic. So what are my overall thoughts on this instrument? I'm underwhelmed, but I understand it, if that makes sense. So for me personally, when these Greeny Bookers become available, I think you might have a lot of people just buy the standard 50s faded version, get the Greeny Bookers in them, and then you've basically got an identical guitar to what this is. What would I have liked to have seen maybe with this release? I think if it would have been exactly like this with a nitrocellulose finish and maybe a little collector's book that kind of just tells you about the history, kind of what they're trying to achieve with this guitar. And then even maybe, you know, because of them two things I've said, maybe put the price up to 3,300, 3,400. I think you'd have had a lot of people a lot happier with this instrument if they would have specified maybe the numbers of this instrument as well. You know, say if they'd have made 10,000 and yours is numbered in this booklet and you got a nitro finish, I think that would have been a really great way to go about it. Obviously, if it's going to just actually become a standard production model, which to be honest, I don't potentially think it will be. I think based off other people's general feedback, the colour's a little off to me. I think from a distance, like I could see it in the reflector of the camera now, I think when you are looking at this guitar and someone else is playing it, it does look a little worn, and because of that faded element of this guitar, and it does look close to it. I think in photos it doesn't look like Greeny. And I think obviously if it had had a nitro finish on it, it wouldn't look like Greeny either. But, you know, they could have built it as a modern day version, you know, a brand new version for you to kind of have your own story on. For me, I think it would have made it a little more of a special purchase. I think because the fact the Gibson Faded has come out, I think it does take the shine off this guitar a little bit, because there's a lot more accessible models currently to basically get the exact same playing experience, albeit obviously with different pickups. But if the pickups are the only thing that's really is different about this guitar to the faded model, that's why I think they should have gone down the route of having like a signature booklet, just so it makes you feel like you're playing a signature instrument, because this really doesn't feel like that. It does just feel like a standard 50s faded, and they give you nothing really to make it feel special. Obviously, the hats are different here, but there really isn't anything else going on with this guitar to warrant, I suppose, kind of the anticipation for this guitar. There really hasn't been enough with it to kind of justify that. I'm very excited by the prospect of the Epiphone version. I think if it comes out and it's around about £800 and it kind of captures this essence of the guitar, then I think that will be the most popular choice for many. Because again, what's better than creating your own story on a guitar? If you could have got a brand new version of this with the nitro finish, like a regular Gibson Les Paul standard, and then you know that you've got that guitar for 50, 60 years to kind of create your own legacy, which, you know, the original 1959 version of this guitar has its own legacy at this point. I feel like it has missed the mark ever so slightly. Having said that, with the pickups and when it is gunning and when the amps are on, it does also sound phenomenal. I'm very excited to see what else they do bring out. There's speculation that they're going to do similar things like they've done with this guitar for other famous Les Pauls of the 1959 era. A bit like the collector's choice, but giving you more of an experience and higher price points and more detail. So I'd like to see how they kind of evolve this sort of idea and route that they're going down. However, I do just feel like if I had £3,000 and I was in the market for a guitar, I think I really like the idea of this instrument as it was getting released, and now I've had one in my hands, I do feel like it falls ever so slightly short. Having said that, it is still a fantastic instrument. It still sounds incredible. It is still nice to play. I know I've obviously kind of slagged off the finish to some degree because it feels a little bit like a Les Paul tribute. But it is still comfortable. The neck is still comfortable. The playing experience is good. I just think for this price point and for the anticipation hype around the instrument, I think they could have done a little bit more. But that's just my opinion. Obviously, everyone is entitled to theirs. do let us know your opinion in the comment section below. We are really kind of eager to kind of see everyone else's take on this instrument. And yeah, see where we go from there. But thank you so much for watching, folks. My name has been Mark. We are the Guitar Marketplace. And we will now end this video with a no talking demo where you can kind of just see this guitar plugged in with a backing track behind it. Take care, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.